Hello, my name is Colby Mazzarella. Welcome to Life Matters, a BNN show sponsored by the West Roxbury-Roslindale chapter of Massachusetts Citizens for Life. MCFL is a nonprofit organization that has defended life for 32 years. I'd like to read our mission statement. Can we get it on the air? In recognition of the fact that each human life is a continuum from conception to natural death, the mission of Massachusetts Citizens for Life is to promote respect for human life and to defend the right to life of all human beings, born and unborn. We will influence public policy at the local, state, and national levels through comprehensive educational, legislative, political, and charitable activities. Today's show is part of our ongoing educational effort. Our guest today is Muriel Ostrowski, Director of Heartbeat Pregnancy Centers in Burlington. Muriel is a former teacher and a mother of 4. She is the director of a crisis pregnancy center, which provides many kinds of help for a woman in a crisis pregnancy. Muriel, welcome to Life Matters.
Thank you.
If the audience has any questions for our guest, the number is 617-973-4848. If your calls are blocked, type *82. Muriel, you've been the director of Heartbeat Crisis Pregnancy Center. How long?
About 2 years.
What's a typical day like for you?
Well, it tends to be pretty busy. We're mostly there in the mornings at the office, answering calls, taking messages, helping clients. The mothers are coming in, they're calling us. People are calling us sometimes because they think we do abortions, calling us for help with their pregnancy, with their after they've had the baby, things that they need to manage. Some of the time we're making up layettes for people. We work with mothers for a long time after they have the baby so that we're helping them with clothing and diapers and other kinds of things after that too.
How old would be the typical caller? A woman calls you. Is it a teenager, an older woman?
I would say most of the women that call are probably in their 20s, but we've helped women from 14 to 45.
What's it like when they first call you? What are they thinking?
It's so different. Some are calling us thinking that we're going to do an abortion. They say, do you do medical abortions? Can I get an abortion there? And others are calling because they're saying, my friend told me you could help me. You know, I'm pregnant. I don't have anything for my baby. My baby's due in 2 weeks, in a month, in 2 months, and I don't have anything. I don't know what I'm going to do. Can you help me?
Well, what kinds of problems are they facing?
All kinds of problems, financial problems. The medical problems they deal with elsewhere, but the financial problems with relationships. Some of the girls, one young woman was coerced by her family into aborting. They told her she couldn't live in their house if she didn't abort. Just all different kinds of problems.
So she was facing being homeless?
Being homeless,
yeah.
And we talked about all the alternatives, and she was determined she was going to have the baby, and a short time later aborted anyway under the pressure.
How do people feel when they're during that period in limbo? They're thinking about what to do, whether to keep their baby or have an abortion. What are they going through mentally?
Oh wow! I think many cases they're just panicked. They just want to get out of the situation. They want it to never have happened, and they're looking for an out that will help them feel like it never happened. In many cases, they're calling immediately as soon as they find out they're pregnant, hoping that they can just abort and get it over and done with. Others are excited because they're pregnant. They are kind of scared, but they're still excited about the option and are glad that they're going to have a baby. It just varies, but they just don't know how they're going to do it without some help.
So when they're really in crisis and panicking, they feel like the abortion will end the problem. The problem will be all over.
Yeah.
How does that work out for them?
Oh, not well. I've had so many mothers coming in, women coming in who are pregnant, who've had previous abortions, and so many of them are crying on my shoulder, you know, and just having a really, really hard time.
What did you say about the difference between a woman looking back on an abortion versus a woman looking back on giving birth?
Oh, yes. I've never had a woman come in the office and say, I wish I had aborted my child. You know, they come in glowing, so excited because their baby is so beautiful, and they're really happy that they didn't make that choice. But the women who come in who've had abortions, some of them are really trying to block it. They say, I've been through a lot of pain, I don't want to think about that anymore. And others are just really talking a lot about the struggles that they're having still. One woman told me she was pregnant with a fourth pregnancy. She had aborted three babies, and she said, I wake up at night and hear babies cry. And she said, when I decided I would have this baby, she said, I felt such peace.
Mm. What about adoption? What's that process like if someone's considering giving up their baby, and then what would they be going through and if they decided to give up their baby for adoption?
It's actually a fairly, it's not a difficult process. We would usually will have women come in and we'll talk about it. We have a questionnaire that gives them some information, and we would help them connect with an agency that works with couples that have already been through the home studies and are all approved. The mother, the young woman, gets to pick choose what kind of a family she'd like to have the baby go to.
How would she pick? How would she make a decision like that?
Well, I think they have questionnaires that they talk with the woman and they fill out, the counselor, the adoption counselor would help fill out a questionnaire.
And then what would she know about a family?
Oh, she knows a lot. The families make portfolios to show pictures of themselves in their homes, and they have a lot of information about usually extended family and other things.
So you'd see a picture of a mother and father that would want to adopt your baby, or what else would you see?
You might see pets that they have. One family had a horse. Dogs, extended family, grandparents, aunts and uncles, cousins. They may want to show that they have a big family. They may want to show a pool. They may, all kinds of things that they might show about themselves and telling what kind of a life they could offer the girl's child. And the girl can choose how open she'd like that adoption to be.
What would that be? What would be her choices?
Her choices would be to have a totally closed adoption where she doesn't have any contact with the family. She could also choose a partially open adoption where she would get letters and pictures and it would tell her about the child probably twice a year. And then she can also choose a very open adoption where she actually can have visits with the child. Some families actually, the people call up and say, I'd like to come over and visit, and they have them over for dinner.
What about racial background of a family and a mom?
It really doesn't matter what racial background the mother is or the child. She can pick what kind of a family she'd like her child to have, and the adoption agency will bring out different portfolios of families that would meet that criteria, and she gets to choose from them.
So have you had a pregnant woman who are thinking that their baby's not adoptable?
We had one who thought because the baby's father was Hispanic and she was not, that nobody would want her baby, and it was so silly. I understand, she was so concerned. She ended up choosing a family who had already adopted a 3-year-old Hispanic girl, and she said, I wish they could have been my parents. She was so excited about them.
Wow. So are there unadoptable babies? What if they're handicapped?
Many, many people are excited about adopting a handicapped baby. That is not at all uncommon.
Now, I'm sure most of your clients want to keep their babies?
Most of them do.
Yeah.
Most of them do, yes. We don't have a lot of adoptions going on.
So how do you help them during that pregnancy?
Well, we're there for moral support. We're there for emotional things that they need to talk about. We help them with maternity clothing. We have a lot of items donated, and we occasionally take them out shopping and buy them maternity clothing if we don't have what they need. We take them places. I'll pick them up sometimes and take them to appointments, sometimes to prenatal appointments, ultrasounds. I take them grocery shopping, buy them groceries sometimes if they need them, if they don't have what they need.
How about when they get to the hospital to give birth? Does the contact end?
Well, they frequently don't call me until after they're home from the hospital. And when they do, I try to go visit them at the hospital and bring a few things and just show how excited we are about them and the baby and kind of be there for that too.
Now, some pro-choice people have said, pro-life people only care about the woman until the baby's born. That's all. They just, she's just a carrier. This is a criticism that we receive, that a crisis center like yours, is that accurate?
No, not at all. I definitely have a strong feeling that we can't just tell them to have the babies. We have to be there and walk with them through it. We help them for a number of years. I mean, they can keep on calling us. We can help them get clothes for the children. We can help them with other things that they need. They let us know what they need. We'll try to help. And continually, there are people that are coming back to us. One woman has a 10 or 11-year-old, others have 5-year-olds, and we're hanging in there with them. And not just for the baby that we help them with, but others too.
Well, what if they call you and they already have children, even babies, older children?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then we're able to frequently help them with those children too. We had one young mother that called in January wanting an abortion, and as I talked to her, I found out she had a 9-month-old, and I said, is there anything we can do to help you with your son? And she said, he doesn't have diapers, he doesn't have wipes. We were able to help her a lot with that and with groceries for them as well.
Did you end up groceries for them for the mother?
For the mother and yes, and their son and others in the home at the time.
Yes. When a woman is more on her own feet and feels like her problems are a little bit more under control, does she stay in contact with you or bring in other people?
They do. Yeah, most of the women do. In fact, they tend to bring us back a lot of items. They want to share them with other mothers. So they'll bring us back car seats and infant seats and swings and different things and clothing that they're done with. And they really want us to be able to pass it on to someone else and help them too. And they do, frequently.
Now, how did you get started yourself in this kind of work?
I had a friend who was coerced into an abortion a number of years ago by her husband, and it was a very devastating experience for me, working with her, talking with her at the time. And
what kind of pressure was she under?
He told her he'd leave her if she didn't abort the baby, and it was ridiculous. They ended up having 2 more children, but we spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of emotional energy in that situation, and it touched me. And I ended up recently, 4 years back, I started volunteering one morning a week while I was teaching at Heartbeat. And within 6 months or a year, or about 6 months later, I just felt God giving me a strong call to stop the teaching and volunteer on a more full-time basis, because we are all volunteers at our agency.
Now, Heartbeat's been in existence a number of years, and then how did it actually get started?
It got started by a group of about 4 people, Paul Morano, Valerie Welch, Veronica Welch, Kathy Lapolito, Maureen Lynch. They started it by going and visiting Friends of the Unborn and getting some help and getting some sponsorship from a church that would give us a location.
So Friends from the Unborn is a crisis pregnancy center also?
Friends of the Unborn is a crisis pregnancy center. They also provide housing for pregnant women.
How many crisis pregnancy centers are there in Massachusetts?
I don't know the exact number. We think it is on the internet. I've seen it. I think it's probably around 20.
So there's one in maybe each major city in Massachusetts?
Yes, and some in some of the smaller areas.
What motivates your volunteers?
All of us want to help. We care about the mothers, we care about the babies. We don't want to see any more mothers coming to us crying because they've had abortions and they regret it. And we also want those babies to live.
Now, as you look toward the future for Heartbeat Crisis Pregnancy Center, what do you think it might be your dream for its expansion?
My dream would be an office where we could add ultrasound. I really would like to do that. More volunteers, more space, and be able to have more mothers actually come and see their babies on an ultrasound machine, because many more mothers make a decision for life when they can see their child.
Do you charge for any of your services?
Oh, no.
So you're saying someone in the future you would hope that you could give a free ultrasound?
Yes.
Does anyone do that now?
Oh, yes. A Woman's Concern. A Woman's Concern has 6 offices throughout the Boston, Fall River, Newton, Brookline area, Beverly also. And they give free ultrasounds. And we sometimes refer mothers there if we think that will help.
So, so many people have no idea at all what is available to them in a crisis pregnancy center. And a matter of fact, I was at my pediatrician this morning and told the nurse about my interview with you. She was amazed that there was such a place. How do you get the word out to people?
We have ads in the phone book, and we also send out mailings to various groups, to churches and other places. We have posters that we put up in various places. We have different posters just advertising our services. And we have a lot of word of mouth. Many people come through word of mouth.
Now, when a girl or woman calls you, what does she not know about abortion?
She doesn't know about the risks to her. She thinks that because it's safe, it's legal, that it's safe also. And it isn't.
I realize that you have some education to do for them, and I see that you have brought some models today.
Oh, yes. We give out little baby models. These are tiny ones, but we give these out to mothers when they come to us. We have white ones and black ones. And we also have, there we go.
How far along is that model?
This is about a baby that's about 12 weeks along.
Now you have a box here
and I
with
have a box here.
Development of
yes, with the development of the baby, all the way from 4 weeks, I believe the first one is, all the way up to 18 weeks. Shows the child developing in the womb.
When do most abortions take place?
Most of them are under 12
Can you
weeks,
show the model of?
which would be about somewhere in this stage.
So
and
the
some are
baby's
certainly
developed.
Oh, very developed. Yes, the heart starts beating at about 18 days, 18 to 21 days.
So you barely know you're pregnant before the heart's beating.
Exactly. The women who are calling us, the baby's hearts are beating.
By the time they call.
By the time they call.
So you have some more posters?
I have this one, which I love, which we have one of these up in our office, and it says, "The future is in our hands." And the people usually come in and say, "Oh, I love that." And it's so true, you know, that it's so much of a change. You know, if a woman has an abortion, there's so much of her future that changes. It's not just that immediate time, but it's all the way through her life. You know, changes in not having that child someday get married and have grandchildren even, you know, and just I saw a video, an ad on TV where they had a child like disappearing out of every different stages where the parents would have been with the child, and it was just so dramatic.
Now, what do women need to know about the physical risks of having an abortion for them?
Women need to know that abortion does have a lot of physical risks for them. Some of them are, they're more likely to miscarry in later pregnancies. They're more likely to have placenta previa later on.
What's that?
You know, it's something to do with the placenta being in the wrong place, like at the bottom of the uterus, so that it will sometimes detach before the baby is born, and then the baby...
And that's more likely if you've had an abortion?
It's more likely if you've had an abortion.
What about fertility, infertility?
Infertility is higher also if a woman's had an abortion. There's sometimes endometriosis, which is scarring of the uterus because of the abortion procedures that makes it difficult for her to get pregnant later.
Now, I've heard also of cancer risk.
There is an increased risk of breast cancer and also of cervical cancer, uterine cancer. And the breast cancer risk is especially, it's high anyway, but it's increased especially if it's a woman's first pregnancy, and it's higher with each additional abortion that she has.
So if you had an abortion during your first pregnancy, you'd have the highest risk of breast cancer.
Yes, and even more so if the woman has a history of breast cancer in the family.
I see.
But without a history of breast cancer, it still increases her risks. One of the most protective things a woman can do for preventing breast cancer is to have an early full-term pregnancy under age 18 or 20.
So she actually has benefits to her health by being pregnant?
Yes, by continuing the pregnancy.
Age 20 or?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I read somewhere that if an average woman's risk is 15% with nothing, if she has the abortion, it increases to about 30% at a young age, and it goes down to 7.5% if she has the full-term pregnancy.
So if she had no child, no pregnancy, she was never pregnant, she'd have a 15% risk of breast cancer.
It may get a little higher than that. Not having a child can increase your risk some too also. But basically, had she not, yeah, maybe that's how it works.
And then if she carried the baby to term, especially by age 20, it would help protect her more.
It reduces her risk of breast cancer.
But if she had an abortion, it would make her more likely to have breast cancer.
And a lot of people don't understand the mechanics behind that, but it's all estrogen related and how that affects the
about
tissue of the breasts.
Yeah, because obviously your body's going through so many changes, getting ready to feed the baby.
Right.
And then that's interrupted by
yes.
abortion.
And then the tissue is left in a volatile state, which is more prone to breast cancer.
So how do women react when they hear these facts that they weren't aware of?
Well, some of them, it doesn't make much difference. You know, they really have decided they're going to have an abortion, and they aren't listening. I talked with one woman on Friday who at the end really said pretty warmly to me, "I think I'm going to have to rethink this decision." And she was thinking about all the regrets, the post-abortion stress, as well as the physical effects.
Now, how do you fund all this? You're giving so much. How do you pay for it?
We have churches do fundraisers for us. One of the big ones is the Mass Citizens for Life walk in the fall. We have a lot of people that walk for us in the fall. We have different groups that raise money for us. We send out a newsletter, and people send us donations. But we can always use more donations, because we do have, even though we're all volunteers, we have a lot of expenses in helping the mothers and in paying for our small storage facility and
I see
so
that
forth.
you brought a
yes.
fundraising idea.
I brought a fundraising baby bottle. We do this at, one of the fundraisers is a baby bottle, where people take the baby bottles home. They pass them out in churches, take them home for about a month, and at the end of the month they bring them back filled with coins or bills or checks or whatever. And we have a paper that goes in it that says that, you know, the gift can be in memory of someone or in honor of someone. And it's a great way to, very simple way to raise funds. And we find that to be really helpful.
What are those pins with the feet?
Oh yes, we have little feet pins that we give out. These are the size of a little baby's feet at about 10 to 12 weeks.
10 to 12 weeks.
The actual size, because you can't really see the size on TV, but they are probably a little less than a ½ inch long. And they're fully formed.
There's 10 toes at 10 weeks.
Yep, 10 toes at 10 weeks. They
And
don't get any more than that with 12 weeks. But, and then we have a nice little booklet that goes with it that shows the stages. It comes with a little thing that shows different stages of development.
Oh.
And we give those to the mothers. I also have a cartoon, and I don't seem to see it at the moment, but it's a little Umbert the Unborn cartoon, and it starts out saying, "I'm proud of my mom." And it says, she was talking with her friend, and she said she'd rather have me in my arms than in her arms than on her conscience.
Oh,
and then it says, "I'm proud of my mom," and we give those out to the moms too when they come in.
Now, you do some education. Basically, tell me a little, what kind of situations where you'd be explaining things? You went and spoke at a school.
I spoke at a church in Lexington recently to some teenagers who were doing a 24-hour fast. Talked to them about what we do. I find some of the best education times are in the office with the people who come in. And frequently, sometimes people will come in for a pregnancy test, because we do have pregnancy tests. And they'll find out that it's a negative test. And sometimes those are the most opportune times to really educate as to what they plan to do in the future, and work with them on some better options if they're willing. And we have some fantastic brochures. This is one of my favorites. It's called lovematters.com, and it's just a great a tabloid that has all kinds of chastity and pro-life education.
So someone could visit lovematters.com to find out about chastity?
They could. There's also a fantastic website called Pure Love Club.
Pure Love Club.
I think it's .com, but it could be .org.
Pure
and
Love
it's
Club.
fantastic, and it has lots of questions and answers that young people or people of any age might want to know about chastity. Most people don't know that if they wait to have sex until they're married, that they have a greater chance of having a successful marriage.
So statistically, a marriage is more likely to stay together.
Yes.
That's interesting. I mean, right now, about half of marriages end in divorce when you're
Yes.
married, and more split up if they aren't married.
Mm-hmm.
So being chaste helps them.
Yes.
Make it
It helps them make a better decision for the long run, for their future. And if they've had sex, even if they stop and wait with that person, they can increase their chances of having a better marriage.
Isn't that called secondary virginity?
It can be sometimes called that. Sometimes it's called renewed purity.
Renewed purity.
It just means that I've been there, done that, and I'm going to change the way I'm doing things because it's better for my future to wait.
So do you think that a typical sex education class prepares children, teenagers to make these decisions?
I don't think most of them do in the public schools. I think most of them are more geared toward contraception and, risks of venereal diseases and so forth.
What are they assuming about the teenagers?
I think they're assuming that teenagers have no self-control and that they can't make a good decision, and that they're not giving them enough credit. That if they had the facts, the information that this really would be a good decision for my future, that some of them might, I think a fairly high percentage might choose chastity.
What can our listeners do if they feel like helping you, if they wanted to help in some way? What are their choices?
Oh, we could always use volunteers. We can use donations. We would love to open another office. We need space for that. We need people that would be willing to volunteer. We've been looking in the Malden-Medford area. We originally planned on opening one in Lowell, but that fell through. So there are a lot of things. And they could call us.
How would they contact you?
They could call us at our Burlington phone number, which is 781-229-7887.
Okay, 781-229-7887 would reach you.
That would reach us.
And we're coming to the end of our show. Thank you very much, Muriel.
Oh, glad to be here.
And thank you for watching. Please keep us in your prayers. If you'd like to learn more about life issues, contact Massachusetts Citizens for Life at 617-242-4199 or www.masscitizensforlife.org. That's masscitizensforlife.org, or call us at 617-242-4199. Thank you for watching, and see you next week on Life Matters.